Hi folks, my name is Emmanuel. I'm a licensed therapist with over 35 years experience in the drug and alcohol treatment field. Several books on the subject. You can find them at addictioninthefamily.com. The first book is Addiction, Why They Use, a handbook for anyone that loves an alcoholic or addict. The second is Addiction, Am I Powerless? It's a self-assessment guide, a user's guide to some truth about themselves and about their condition. So we'll just get right into it. If you've seen my other videos, one of them has to do with the structure of the steps, how Bill Wilson structured the steps. I profiled him for over 20 years. I've studied deeply his motivations as well as his insights and his experiences. So, the first step, the first thing that jumps out to most of us is the word we. We admit it. Who is we? Well, we is not alone. We is all of the people who have also suffered. And it's vital to know that a person is not in this alone. It can feel very lonely. Addiction is perhaps one of the loneliest of diseases out there, not just for the user, but for all of us, for people who love addicts, for people who are addicts. It's just lonely. It's sad. So, getting to the point where we're ready to look at the first step is, as I mentioned in the earlier video, the first step identifies the problem. The second step identifies the solution. If you work 3 through 11, you get 12, a spiritual awakening. So the first step is identifying the problem. Most people who come to a 12-step program already have enough insight to admit to a problem, or they wouldn't have showed up. Of course, some people come for other people. That's another sign that your life is unmanageable. We'll talk about that more in a minute. So vital. You can do this alone. The Alcoholics Anonymous book, the book Alcoholics Anonymous, which started all the 12-step programs, was actually designed for a person to read in their home and work alone, perhaps with other alcoholics if they could find them. We get back to this issue of speed in the steps. They didn't have numbers on the steps. They had a process that they did. When Bill sat down and wrote the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, some stories say that he actually wrote the part all the way up through how it works in about an hour and a half. I don't know how that's possible. You'd have to really write fast to do it. But that is what is believed, that he sat down and wrote them. He believed later that he hadn't worked all them, even when he wrote them, because they really didn't have them formalized. So he put them down, he put them in order. The first thing he did was identify the problem. So the problem being that we're powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become manageable, that we are powerless over alcohol. So what is powerless? Powerless is not an on or off switch. It's not I am or I'm not. It's not an all or nothing concept. Powerlessness says exactly what it is. Not enough power. It doesn't say that a person is power none. What it says is that a person just doesn't have enough power to do what they're trying to do. If I love someone with a substance abuse problem and I try to get her to not drink this Saturday, I do have some power. Maybe I can convince her to do that. But it's not going to happen next Saturday or the Saturday after that. That power, I don't have that much power. Some people want to stop drinking, but they can't stop because they don't have the power to do it on their own. In the literature, the word power is usually capitalized, signifying a god or a higher power. But it's also just the word power. And what is power? Power comes from a higher power, but power comes from self-esteem. Power comes from willpower. There's a lot of different aspects of power. The point is that usually when a person gets to the 12-step program, they don't have enough power to deal with the issue at hand, or the problem at hand. They surrender. I can't take it anymore. I can't do it. I've worked with people who relapse a lot, and we talk about powerlessness. I have often worked with those people who put themselves in the category of chronic relapsers. What does that mean? These are usually people who haven't admitted their powerlessness. They haven't surrendered. I had a client one time, and we had a conversation about powerlessness. He went home. I saw him the next week. He said, I really thought about what you said, and you're right. I haven't surrendered. I have admitted I'm powerless, that I don't have enough power. He goes, because I keep trying to come back and use again and again. He said, I went home and I asked myself, if somebody put a gun to my head and told me to hand over my wallet, I would. He said, that's surrender. I don't surrender. I haven't ever surrendered, he said. I keep wanting to talk the guy out of taking my money. So power means I don't have enough. When you look up at, if you've ever been to court, the pleasure of going to court, and you look up at that judge and he's in that position of power, you're powerless over what that judge decides. you were probably powerless over at least a couple of those cops. I mean, not just one. You might have enough power. But eventually, you're going to be owned. You are going to have to get to a point where you do not have enough power to push back against the system. So power is about a lot of things. Power is about, again, self-control, self-esteem, self-worth, monetary power. There's power in money, the ability to access help and treatment and things of the like. So power has a lot of different concepts. When Bill looked at it, he looked at all these things, and he said, I don't have enough power in this area, that area. He said, I just don't have enough. So I'm powerless, right? No, I don't think anybody is power none, but there's nobody who is powerful over alcohol. I have yet to this day to meet anyone who can drink a fifth of alcohol and not be drunk. That's going to happen. No one has that power. But there are some people who do have some power that others don't. There are people who can drink. Every Friday night, a gentleman comes home from work. He has 2 glasses of wine. He never gets in the car. He never goes out. That's all he does. It's only on Friday. He don't think about it, care about it any other day of the week. We have another guy. He comes home every night. He has 2 beers. He doesn't go out. He doesn't drive his car afterward. He doesn't argue with his wife. He has 2 beers. He goes to bed. No problem, but he does it every day. The guy who does it once a week, a little bit of power over him. Not much, but he's used to it. If you try to take it away, he'd say, you're not taking away my Friday night thing. The other guy who did it every night, we said, we're taking that away from you. You can't do that anymore. He said, hey, wait a minute. It's ingrained in him a little bit more. It's got a little bit more of a hold. He is a little bit more powerless than the guy who only does it once a week. There are lots of religions where people don't drink at all. And I used to think that if you didn't drink, you weren't powerless over alcohol, that you had power over it if you didn't drink. And then I was driving my motorcycle down the road one day, and I got hit by a drunk driver. Okay? And I'm getting up off the ground. I'm laying on the ground for a little while, and then I got up. I sat on the curb for a minute, and all I thought was, how does the guy who hit me was drunk? I thought, how does this happen? And then I realized I'm powerless over alcohol by somebody driving down the street who can change my entire life in the blink of an eye, almost kill me in the blink of an eye. I was laid up for a couple months with that accident. So I realized that powerlessness isn't just about me. It is about this chemical alcohol and this thing that is supposed to help fight against it, and I don't have enough of it. We never will. There will always be alcohol out there, as far as I can tell. So we get back to the point. It isn't about whether or not we have power. Some of you may be able to go out and have a drink this Saturday, and everything will be fine. Maybe you can have 2, and everything will be fine. And you can do it again next week, and everything will be fine. And then another week, you can do everything will be fine. And then what? Now we're doing it Friday and Saturday. Now we're doing it Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now we're doing it Monday, Friday, Saturday. Now we're doing it almost every day of the week with a couple of them we're not, and we're telling ourselves that we're not powerless. And then one day we look back and we're doing it every day, and we're having problems and all that stuff. So the problem is that we don't have enough power. So where do we get that power? Well, Bill's idea is that you get that power from a higher power. You get that from up above. There's another place that you can find power when you don't have enough of it, and that is in a group full of people, in a room full of people with the like problem. Again, the book Alcoholics Anonymous was written to be practiced alone in your home. Bill wrote it so that people could get it, get the concepts and the ideas going for themselves, if they're lucky, find another alcoholic or addict or whatever, and to work it together. But it was about the book first and then the meetings. Now today it's about the meetings, and it takes some people a long time to even get to the book. But that is not how it was designed. So the book has some deep insights. The problem is when we do it alone, we don't even have the power to see everything we need to see. Okay, so we're limited in that way. So we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. Some people get hung up on the powerlessness and the power none concept, and they get out and they have a drink or 2 and they think everything is fine. They get mad because, I can't believe that I can't have 1 drink. Yeah, maybe you can have 1 drink, but maybe you don't have enough power to have 2 or 3 or 5 without getting out of control and getting into a problem. Or perhaps you can't have it 1 day without doing it a bunch of days more. So getting to that point where you admit you can't use the drug, you can't drink, you can't change the alcoholic or the person, that you're powerless over alcohol, that you can't prevent them from doing the things they're going to do, like driving down the road on your motorcycle when you get hit by a drunk driver. That's powerlessness. All those concepts, aspects are parts of being powerless over all of it. You know, if everybody wanted to quit and then we'd have to try to get rid of alcohol, we still couldn't. The United States government was powerless over alcohol when they tried it during Prohibition. So, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. There's a hyphen in there. There's a dash. And a dash means two parts. If there's a hyphen in the name, it means there's two parts to it, okay? We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, hyphen, that our lives had become unmanageable. A lot of people are listening to this right now going, oh my God, I never noticed there's a hyphen in there. They said there's a hyphen, so there's two parts. The first part is we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. Second part, that our lives have become manageable. You can put anything in front of it. The concept and how the 12 steps work is you admit you're powerless over something, that it made your life unmanageable, and then you work the steps to heal from that process. Remember, the Oxford groups weren't alcoholics. The Oxford groups were people who were trying to overcome their limitations and have better, more full lives. They had great lives. They wanted them to be better. So they came up with this concept. How do you surrender to things, people, behaviors, wars, whatever it is, and then still have a good life? So we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, hyphen, that our lives had become unmanageable. What is unmanageability? Unmanageability is not having the ability to organize, manage your life. I know that sounds kind of simple, but think about it. Manageability. That's what it's talking about. Unmanageability. So manageability, my ability to manage, and my lack of ability to manage. You can't pay your bills, you can't see your kids, you can't keep your obligations, you can't come home when you say you're going to, you can't keep your license because you're getting DWIs, drinking and driving. So unmanageability is about all these different aspects of our lives, little things that we're not able to take care of. And why aren't we? Well, say I can't pay my bills, I can't pay my rent. Let's say I just shop a lot. We admitted we were powerless over our spending, that our lives have become unmanageable. Can't pay my bills, how do I do this? Okay? Is it insane for me when I don't have money for milk that I'm going and buying a new shirt, blouse, shoes, motorcycle part, car part, whatever, playing video games? I'm powerless over video games, I'm not doing my homework. Okay, so you can put anything before that. That's what the hyphen is about. So we admitted we were powerless over blank, fill in the blank, that hyphen, that our lives have become unmanageable. Okay? So powerlessness is about surrender. Admission is to ourselves. We have to admit to ourselves that we don't have what it takes to do this thing on our own. So we seek a power greater than ourselves, a higher power, more power, and the power of the group of people that might be around us. You know, if I wanted to run out into the middle of the street and commit suicide, and I was in a room with people and I tried to do it, one person might try to stop me, and I might be able to beat them off and run out into the traffic. But eventually, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people would be able to hold me down and stop me from doing it. They are more powerful than me at that point. If a person wanted to drink or use drugs and there's 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 10 people, 1,000 people, a full group of recovery people could probably help them not do that thing. They could lean on them for their power, their ability, their insight, their intellectual power, their spiritual power, their emotional power, okay? So there's lots of different ways to get it, but if a person is using and drinking, they use all that stuff up and they lose it, and before you know it, it's gone and it's not available. So when is it unmanageable enough? Here's the thing. You can get off that elevator anytime you want, but if you see that elevator going down, it's going down, and it's going to keep going down. It will never be easier for you to stop the thing that you're having a problem with than it is today. Doing it longer for more, emotionally, behaviorally, is just going to condition you to have more of a problem later. It's never going to get any easier to do it. There isn't a magic day on the calendar that says when a person does this. A person does this when they decide to do it. Okay? You decide, you admit to yourself that you have a problem. And then you go to meetings and or read the literature and you learn more. It takes time to learn all the aspects of how alcohol and drugs and loving an alcoholic or drug addict can make your life unmanageable. That takes time. So you're going to learn about what unmanageability is. That is step 1. Your job in step 1 is to understand what addiction is and to learn what unmanageability is and learn about how truly powerless you are. That is what the program hopes for you to find out when you come in. You're in the spot already, but you don't necessarily, you're in a spot already, but you aren't necessarily able to define why you're in that spot. That's what part of the first step is. And there's several tasks that people have in order to do that step. I did a research project on the 12 steps on what successful recovery look like. And if you're over on this side of the screen, you'll see a list of tasks that people were assigned by their sponsors to do as part of their first step. Take a couple minutes, maybe pause the video, look at these. They're very helpful. A lot of first step is read the big book, read the basic text, read Al-Anon's version of the big book, Nar-anon's version of the big book. That's usually the first step. Go to a 90 meetings in 90 days is a part of a lot of people's first step. Reading the 12 and 12 books and the first step in those. There are some other daily readers that some people are instructed to do. As you do that, you learn more about what unmanageability is and what powerlessness is. Yeah, you're hurting. It's time to make sense of the hurt. It's time to let that pain refine you, not define you, to get to a place where all that crap you've gone through has a value to it, and to see exactly into it, into why and how you got to where you got to. You didn't get to where you are because you're a horrible person or because you're bad or because you're stupid. That's not what this is about. Remember, it's a disease, and this disease makes people lose things. I heard a guy say one time that alcohol and drugs are the great eraser. They erase everything from your life, your wife, your job, your money, your house, your cars, your kids, your license. So that's part of the unmanageability process. Again, so we admit we were powerless over alcohol and drugs, and/or drugs that our life had become manageable. That is the problem. That is why people arrive at 12-step programs. That is why people arrive at AA, NA, Alanon, Nar-anon, because they're hurting. Okay? So you get to decide when you have enough hurt. You have to admit it out loud to yourself. A person who just admits it to themselves hasn't committed to really anything other than some promise that they can change their mind about later. Sometimes admission of the problem is about talking to our family and our friends, making a commitment, letting them know we're going to try, or asking for help. That's true surrender and powerlessness, is to say, I need help. Can you guys help me? Not, can you give me $30 to have gas, and then we use it for something else, whether it be shopping or drugs or alcohol or whatever. It's about saying it so that then next time you see that person, that there's a commitment to it. Get yourself a sponsor. Ask them what they did for their first step. I promise you'll find success if you only try and keep at it. If you fail, if you slip and you fall down, you use or relapse, just get up and do it again. Eventually, one day, you'll have enough power around you to beat it, at least day by day, okay? So again, click those little buttons like we have the second step, third step, all the other steps coming up in the not-too-distant future. Please check the other videos out. There's a lot of helpful information on them. I hope this was helpful to some people. And if you have any questions at all, any comments, please put them below the video if you're seeing this on YouTube. And I'll answer them. I'll get to those questions and respond to them best I can. If you have a really good question, I'll make a video about it. If you have any questions, you can feel free to post them in the comments, and I will find them. Again, addictioninthefamily.com. You can find the books. They're all available on Amazon and stuff like that. My name is Emmanuel S. John, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. I hope this is helpful. You can do it. Your life can be better than it is. You can create manageability by getting rid of the thing that you're powerless over. All right? Good luck to you, and just keep it up. Call on some of that other power that's around you. Power of God, power of religion, power of friends, power of family, power of recovery groups. Take care of yourself and each other. Thanks.